You are listening to the Fly the W670 podcast. It's season 2. It's episode 37. Houston, the Cubs have a problem. Don't forget to listen, download, review, most importantly, subscribe to our podcast. Follow us on the socials, Fly the W670 on Twitter, Instagram, and Fly the W on Facebook. Of course, you can email us, flythew670 at gmail.com. All right, Crawly, Cubs, Astros recap. It was a rough week since last time we talked.
Yep. Well, you said before we left, just don't get swept, and it looked like that was going to happen, and then it didn't.
Yeah, I was really sitting there on Wednesday night feeling pretty good about the prediction, feeling pretty good about lighting a fire underneath Seiya Suzuki, and it didn't come to pass. But let's rewind a little bit. Let's go back to Monday. The Cubs were facing the world champs and Framber Valdez.
Yep, Jameson Taillon versus Framber Valdez. This is the start of the it was so weird because there were so many frustrating ways to lose, and it seems like the Cubs got them all. They lost this one 6-4. Some key takeaways from this series, from this game right here. Jameson Taillon didn't do much again. Defense didn't help him out on this one. With 2 outs and runners at second and third, notorious Cubs killer Jose Abreu hit one to left. It should have been caught by Christopher Morel. He was playing left field while Ian Happ DH. 2 runs scored. 2 runs scored. Look, man, that's going to be part of the growing pains that Cub fans are going to have to deal with if the Cubs plan to play Morel all over as opposed to just third base. If you want him to play a bunch of positions and that's going to get him the most at-bats, I think that was the plan, was just to give Ian a day off, let him rest.
Not left field. Okay, again, not left field in that goofy-ass ballpark, okay? I'm all fine with him playing left field. Play left field at Wrigley Field. Play left field in a standard left field, not that goofy-ass place, the Minute Maid, the Juice Box, whatever they're calling it now. And if you're gonna give a guy a day off like Ian Happ, then give him the day off. Get him off his feet, have him sit down, pinch hit if needed, but then give him a day off. If you're gonna DH him against the world champs, then have him play left field. He's a Gold Glover playing in an odd left field. Doesn't make any sense. I digress.
I agree. And so, it was just a bad start. And so 2 more runs would come across to score, all with 2 outs, and the Cubs were down 4-0. So on a day that the Cubs needed length out of Taillon, after Wisniewski and Stroman had short starts in Minnesota, he was only able to go 4.2 innings, and he gave up 7 hits, 4 runs, 1 walk. He only had 1 K, and when you talk about that outfielder, Cody Bellinger said it's got some unique dimensions. It's got intimidating big walls. It wasn't a lack of effort for Morel. He was out there in BP putting all the reads and bouncing the balls off the fences. It was just weird places. And so Morel just said, in practice, I tried to learn this, where the ball's going, how the ball goes and jumps. This is my first time here. I'll try to be better next time. But you can't blame him, like you said, for that.
No, I don't blame him. I blame David Ross. That wasn't smart. That just didn't make any sense.
Right.
Again, if you gave Ian Happ the day off, meaning pinch hit only, okay, I'll accept it. But when you got him DHing, then may as well have a Gold Glover playing in a goofy left field like that is.
So after that frustrating, and the Cubs are down, and you have to face Framber Valdez, and you're like, oh God, then not going to happen. Well, especially because the Cubs had some of their runners in scoring position issues. They had runners at first and second in the second inning, at third in the second inning and the third inning, but they couldn't cash them in. They finally broke through in the fourth with 2 outs and the runners at the corners. Yan Gomes hit a sac fly to make it a 4-1 game. And then after a Nick Magical single put 2 runners on, you have Chris Morel, who hit a home run. This one, just a measly 401 feet. It wasn't one of his massive ones. And the game was tied at 4. And you're feeling pretty good, right? The kid made a mistake out and left, and now he sits there and he ties it up with his bat. And it wasn't really an impressive at bat because he was down 0-2. Valdez was throwing him all sorts of nasty stuff. He fought his way back. It was his 4th homer in 6 games. All 4 have gone over 400 feet. And he's second in home runs behind Patrick Wisdom with 6, even though he's played a month in Iowa. So he's the first Cub to hit 4 home runs in his first 6 games since Alfonso Soriano, the Fonz, in 2009.
Hey.
And the funny thing, Dustin, is that the Cubs knocked Valdez out. It was his shortest start since April 13th, 2022. Unfortunately,
over a calendar year.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, the Cubs offense couldn't muster any more offense as the Astros pen used 5 pitchers over the next 5 innings and only gave up 1 hit. So the
what's
Cubs,
that like?
right? The Cubs offense had 4 runs on 8 hits, but went 1 for 4 with runners in scoring position. They left 6 on base. Dustin, they struck out 16 times. And for a team that doesn't have a lot of power bats, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that number's way too high. Way too many swings and misses.
Right. We talked about in the beginning of the season, look, you know, you're not going to hit a lot of home runs, but that should mean more contact. 16 whiffs. I mean, that's just too much. And you were upset about David Ross putting Morel in left, but what about the bullpen management? They called up 2 young pitchers from Iowa. They called up Nick Burdi. They called back up Jeremiah Estrada, but he decides to trot out Michael Fulmer in the 7th. Got the first 2 outs before giving up a single and a 2-run homer to Alex Bregman to put the Astros up 6-4. He would walk one more batter before Ross would put out Jeremiah Estrada. So that would put Fulmer's ERA up to 7.50, and Estrada comes into the game. He gives up a deep fly ball, and Cody Bellinger makes probably one of the best catches I've ever seen in center field. Looked like Spider-Man and just unbelievable. I don't know if it would have been a home run, but it was just a gorgeous play. But then he had to be helped off the field with an apparent knee injury. So that's a great way to end game 1.
Right. So a couple of things to let me follow up on. I would have wanted to see Estrada before Fulmer. And then
Correct.
If Estrada faltered, you bring Fulmer in my opinion. And then what's the point of Burdi? To write a good story, a feel good story? You know, he likes Tex-Mex, so he needed to be in Houston? I don't understand. And the Cody Bellinger thing, that really scared the crap out of me. I was really, really worried. Feared the worst. And as we go through this, Cody Bellinger is okay, but we still haven't seen him play, and he was supposedly available for pinch hit opportunity on Wednesday's ball game, but we did not see him pinch hit.
Right, and we thought the same thing about Nico, and then they put him on the 10-day IL,
Right.
So I'm not going to hold my breath.
Now, they'll
on
be
this one.
retroactive and all that stuff, but we're not sure if Bellinger will be, in the lineup Friday when they take on the Phillies.
Right, and so that takes us to game 2, Justin Steele versus Christian Javier. And this is the one, Dustin, that you and I were the most confident in. And
Absolutely.
He, Steele's the stopper, no worries. And the Cubs lose 7-3. This one hurt because after a bad start by Stroman, you needed Steele to be the stopper. And he gave up 1 run in the first inning, which isn't unusual for Justin. Usually the first is a little bit rough for him, but once he gets rolling, forget about it. But in the 4th, Steele hit Alex Bregman in the pitch. And then this was just shocking for anyone that's watched Steele all year. The Astros hit 4 doubles and the Cubs were down 5-0. Now,
it looked like batting practice. I mean, they found every gap. It looked like really good 16-inch Chicago softball players placing the ball wherever they wanted to.
It was double after double after double. I will say this about Steele. He continued on and gave the bullpen a rest. He went 6 innings pitch, and it didn't look like he was going to make that.
Yeah, I like the effort. And then there was, of course, the talk that the flu was going through the clubhouse.
Right. And so, Steele pitching, not feeling 100%. He gave up 5 hits, 5 runs, 1 walk, still had 8 Ks. It really just came down to a bad 4th inning. And, it really blows your mind when it comes to Justin Steele. This was a tweet by Jordan Bastian. Said he entered tonight having allowed 6 doubles total in his first 8 starts, 49 innings pitched. He's given up 5 doubles through 4 innings pitched to the Astros. So, I mean, what are you going to do? It was a freak thing. And then Nick Burdi did come in and make his first MLB appearance since August 3rd, 2020, a guy who suffered through a lot of injuries. He pitched 1 inning. He gave up 2 runs on 1 hit and a walk. He struck out 1. But he was hitting 99 miles per hour on the gun. So, I mean, obviously you don't want this guy to give up any runs. It's a good team that you're facing in Houston. And I will say that, we'll see what happens. Hopefully they don't just give up on this guy.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not, Crawly.
Offensively, Dustin, I texted you when the lineup came out. I said, look at what Ross is rolling out here. It was Madrigal, followed by Swanson, Morel, Happ, Suzuki, Mervis, Mastrobuoni, Hosmer, Barnhart, and Steele. I just looked at that and I said, you got to be kidding me. You can't be serious putting that out there.
It was the weirdest, most questionable lineup I've seen in a long time. I mean, I understand guys needing a day off, but do they all need the same day off? And you've got 2 off days. Thursday, today, when you and I are recording it. We're still working, Crawly. Cubs might not be working, but Crawly and Dustin are working. And then they've got Monday off. So, I mean, come on.
Yeah, the Cubs scored 3 runs on 6 hits. They went 1 for 2 with runners in scoring position, leaving 4 men on base. There wasn't a lot of offense. Matt Mervis hit his first MLB home run to tie the game off the right field foul pole. I thought he put a big dent in that sucker. And Seiya Suzuki hit a 2-run home run in the 9th, which takes us to Game 3, a game in which I also had confidence in, with Mr. Consistent Drew Smyly versus JP France, who was making his first home start for the Astros. And the Cubs, this one, Dustin, was the most gut-wrenching loss of the 2023 season, without a question.
With a capital G, since you went with gut-wrenching.
I literally felt I couldn't go to sleep last night. I was tossing and turning. I was so mad. Smyly gave the Cubs exactly what they needed. 6 innings. He gave up 4 hits, 1 run, no walks, and 8 Ks. He gave up a solo home run to Alex Bregman in the first, and then he retired 14 consecutive batters. I'm not counting a fielding error by Patrick Wisdom, but Smyly has allowed 2 earned runs or less in each of his last 8 starts. And when you talk about all the big free agent signings the Cubs did this last offseason, Drew Smyly's got to be on that list as one of the best.
I had my doubts, but he has definitely proven me wrong, Crawly. He has been fantastic after maybe a rough outing, right, to start the season.
Right. I can think of 2 starts that weren't great. His first start and then that one I saw when he was playing against Miami at Wrigley. Other than that, he has been outstanding, and
really
offense,
good. He really breaks up the monotony too well of the right-handed starters.
Right, and the offense did their job. Could it have been better? Yes. But was the loss their fault? No. They scored 3 in the first after Christopher Morel walked. Dansby hit an RBI triple, and then Seiya Suzuki picked up where he left off the night before. He hits a home run to put the Cubs up 3-0. You know, Dustin, I told you last time Suzuki's getting hot, and you said smoldering. I said hot. He ended up he reached base 5 times.
5 times. He's woken up. Listen, I got to give him, we were giving him a hard time on the Mully and Haw show as well, and I took personal victory lap this morning on the show saying we were the ones that fired him up and got him motivated.
Well, 2 home runs, 2 walks, and a single. He became the first Japanese player in MLB history to homer in 3 consecutive plate appearances, and the first Cub to do it since Chris Bryant did it on May 17th, 2019. So he hit the 2-run home run the night before, and then home runs in his first 2 at-bats, so that was 3 right there.
Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool stat. That's an accomplishment. There's no doubt about that. He's the one guy that's probably upset the Cubs aren't playing today.
Right. And I talked about Seiya in our hot versus not last time, and this is what I said, if you remember. He had an oblique injury, and I know that Joe Girardi talked about it on the broadcast. That's a tough injury for hitters, right? He got it at the beginning of spring training. He had a slightly extended spring training, a very short minor league rehab stint. He only played 4 games with the I Cubs. So you know what? You knew that he was behind, and his timing is finally starting to click. He is a guy that I think is going to be a big part of this Cubs team this year as far as their success or their failure. And Christopher Morel had another great game. He went 3 for 5. He scored 2 runs, drew a walk, and hit another home run. 5 home runs in 8 games, Dustin. I mean, what he's doing is just out of this world. And then Ian Happ, 2 for 3 with a double, an RBI, and a walk. Even Miles Mastrobuoni, your favorite, went 1 for 2 with 3 walks. He was on base 4 times.
Hey, he played some good defense at second base. That's where he belongs. He's a second baseman. He's an infielder. You know where I don't want Mastrobuoni? On the roster. But I definitely don't want him playing right field for the Cubs when Christopher Morel was sitting around taking hacks with the I Cubs.
Right. So the offense went 2 for 10 with runners in scoring position, and they left 14 men on base. But I'm sorry, Dustin, if you score 6 runs and your starter gives you 6 innings of 1-run ball, you should be able to win the damn game.
That should be more than enough.
Now, look, we're here, the bullpen, right? I've been hard on manager David Ross, but at the same time, Dustin, the players need to do their job as well.
They got to do their job. There's no doubt about that, but there are some questions here, Crawly. Let's go through it, but there are some questions. Hopefully you can talk me through it, but I got questions. I cannot wait till next Wednesday when we have a chance to talk to Tommy Hotovy. I need to be walked through how these decisions are made.
Right. Now, we know Alzolay has not been feeling well. He got that flu bug that Steele had, but he went 1 inning. He gave up 2 hits, but no runs, but didn't look as sharp as he has recently, and that's in the 7th inning. Then Ross called on Mark Leiter Jr. If you remember in the last show, I said I like Mark Leiter in the 8th and I like Alzolay in the 9th. That's how I would set it up if I was managing this team. And I think that it was the right move to have Leiter on, and he didn't have it. He gave up 3 hits and 2 runs to make it a 6-3 ball game. Now, I didn't hear about him having that flu bug or anything like that. Maybe he was just off that day, but you still have a 6-3 lead. Now, for me, Dustin, this is where I start to scratch my head, right? David Ross calls on Keegan Thompson in the 9th. I don't think Thompson is much of a closer. That's not his role. We talked about it at the beginning of the season. He's been in the 9th inning 2 times. He's been in the 9th inning or beyond 2 times. One time against the Cardinals when they had a big lead, and another time in extra innings against the Rays. Right. He's not a 9th inning guy. He's not a 9th inning guy. Right. What you and I have talked about is his role was the multi-inning reliever. He should go 2, maybe 3 innings. And I don't understand why people don't get it. I've seen it a bajillion times. I'm sure you have too. There's something different about that 9th inning, the final 3 outs, and there's no stats, there's no data that you can pull that says why it's different. It's 3 outs, right? But it just hits different. And you know what? He's struggled. Keegan, even though he for the most had good numbers, if you looked and you dove deeper at the barrels, if you took a look at where he was throwing the ball, if you took a look at the speed gun, the peripherals were not there. And he basically just got his velocities down, his control is off. And I think he needs to go to Iowa to get straightened out. It's not a punishment. Again, I'm not saying this is what you get. I think there's things he has to work on. And I think Assad needs to be called up and made that multi-inning bullpen option.
Yep. I suggested the exact same thing. Assad better be meeting this team in Philadelphia, and Keegan needs a little break.
Right. And again, it's not a punishment. It's just to fix some things. And when he gets better, you call him back up. But again, Assad should be in the multi-inning role. If he comes in the 9th, I'm going to be irritated. And so Keegan came in and immediately gave up a single and a homer in the first 2 batters he faced, the 7th and 8th hitter in the lineup to make it a 6-5 ball game. Then he walked the speedy Mauricio Dubon to put the tying run on base.
How do you walk that guy? That guy?
Right. And so, it's not like literally when that guy's on there, if he doesn't steal the base, if a guy gets a single, he's going to third. I mean, it's just a disaster. And so Keegan didn't retire a single batter. He gave up 2 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 0 strikeouts. Now, here, Dustin, I give you issue number 1 I had. Issue number 1 is going to Keegan in the first place. He's not a 9th inning guy. But then he calls on Brandon Hughes, a lefty, to pitch to 2 righties? Like, why would you do that? Why would you? There's got to be something.
He's supposedly, he's good against everybody.
Okay, but I would not have done that. I would have gone because what you had is
Where's
2
Estrada?
righties.
Why not Estrada?
Right? And so Jeremy Pena doubled and Alex Bregman walked to load the bases. But what I'm saying here is that you could have had Estrada take the first 2 righties and then you get some lefties and you could easily have called in Hughes on the lefties. That I would have done everything humanly possible.
Or Crawly, you could have stayed with Drew Smiley for 1 more inning. You could have had Alzolay pitch 2 innings. You could have had then Leiter coming in the 8th inning. Right? I mean, there's all these shoulda, coulda, wouldas. I'm most disappointed in Leiter. Leiter has done a really good job. But then even after Leiter gave up, cut the lead in half, right? He gives back 2 more runs. It's 6-3. What did he do then? He strikes out the rest of the side. So he's in good form. What's the rush to get away from him now? They just seemed like they were in a rush. It was like they made a plan. It felt like they made a plan before the game started. And the plan said, Drew Smiley's going to go hopefully 6 innings. Give us a quality start. Then we're going to go to this guy. And then we're going to go to this guy. And then we're going to go to this guy. And that's the plan. Here we go. And they didn't react to what was actually happening in the game. It's like we took our time. We made a plan. And now because we got to the point where Smiley got us to the 6th and got us a quality start, here we go with our bullpen plan. And it didn't work.
Like I said, my issue comes with 3 things. Thompson coming in and then calling in Brandon Hughes to face 2 righties and just letting Estrada sit on the bench.
And before the game, Ross went out of his way to tell our guy, okay, to tell Coomer how he was in the bullpen's corner. He was in Fulmer's corner. Well, then why didn't he call on Fulmer last night if he's in his corner? Then after the game, he talks about, we had to win this game. That was a game we had to have. Well, if you had to have it, why would you have managed the bullpen the way you managed it?
Absolutely. And so, as far as it goes, Hughes was able to get 1 out when we got Yordan Alvarez to ground out to Mastrobuoni, who threw out Dubois at home, which was a great play. But Kyle Tucker singled. Jeremy Pena just beats the throw by Morel. Ross challenges it while fireworks are going off, but the call was upheld. The Astros sweep the Cubs. Gut-wrenching is the only thing I could think of to talk about that loss. But as frustrating as it is, the thing that has to happen is this bullpen needs to get figured out. But you're at a point right now in this season where it's not over, okay? The Cubs weren't winning the World Series in April, and they're not out of the playoffs because of what's happened recently. All right, our guy, Full Count Tommy, he's been on the show. He put up a tweet, and I just want to share it so that people get off the ledge. 2022 playoff teams through 43 games. Seattle was at 18-25. Cleveland was at 19-24. Philadelphia was 20-23. Atlanta was 20-23. They're roughly where the Cubs are. There is no need to panic. I think the Cubs have great starting pitching. When Kyle Kendricks comes back, it's going to be that much better, and I think Taillon is going to get better as well. I think that there's a lot of good pieces here. That being said, Dustin, there are 3 guys that no longer need to be on this team, and I don't want to see on. I want to see out. And my 3 guys are different than your 3 guys, I think, but I think we'll have a couple overlapping. I do not want to see Eric Hosmer anymore. I talked about it on the last show, and I'll bring it up. There is no point to have him. I don't care if he brings juice boxes and orange slices and is the world's greatest teammate and reminds everybody to call their moms on their birthdays. I don't care. I'm done. I don't want him there. Okay. The other guy is Nick Madrigal. He is not doing anything offensively. He is not barely serviceable at third base. I'm sorry. You got a guy in Chris Morel that's doing great things. And if all of a sudden Madrigal lights it up at third base and Morel is struggling, switch him up. I don't care. But at this point in time, he needs to be done. And then the other guy that I'm kind of taking a look at is I'm very curious to see what
Mastrobuoni, I hope. Mastrobuoni, I hope.
I don't think Mastrobuoni's on that list because he, to me, would replace Madrigal in the lineup. And so that to me, I think, is somebody that he can play outfield. He's not good at it, but he can play it. He can play infield spots, and he's faster than Madrigal. And so I've seen more out of him than I've seen out of Madrigal. I'm just tired of that, and I think that there needs to be some definite moves in the bullpen that we talked about.
Who's your third guy?
I'm hesitant to say the third. As far as Tucker Barnhart is concerned, I guess giving Miguel Amaya a little bit of time is okay. But I am, it's just I'm not as upset about that as the other 2. I've been done with Hosmer. I'm done with Madrigal. Those 2 for sure.
Well, I disagree with you with Madrigal, but I want Christopher Morel to get more reps than Nick Madrigal. But I think having Madrigal around makes sense. He's not going to benefit from a minor league. I'm getting to agree with you with Hosmer, but I still think it's more business than it is. But they need some arms up here, so get Mastrobuoni out of here and get another arm up here, especially our guy Assad.
I will say this. There is one thing when it comes to the business of baseball. One bottom line, winning. And Eric Hosmer does not help you do that.
You are listening to Season 2, Episode 37 of the Fly the W670 podcast. Houston, the Cubs have a problem. Don't forget to download, review, subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. And in this segment, Crawly interviewed Stewart McVicar, founder of Club 400, with a huge announcement and a big party this summer.
Joining me now on the Fly the W podcast, I have Stewart McVicar, founder and proprietor of Club 400 and Club 400 Charities. Stu, my friend, how are you doing, buddy?
Great, Crawly. As always, thanks for having me on. I appreciate your support. You've been a big help to Club 400, and I thank you for having me on today to talk about our next great event, man, which I'm really excited about.
Before we do that, Stu, we talked before about the last event, the Justin Steele event, and we told everybody it was a phenomenal deal. I forget what it was, like not even $100.
Yeah.
And you got a Justin Steele autograph, all you could eat, all you could drink. This is, I think that it was such a great price. And now you see what Justin Steele's doing. And that guy looks like a freaking all-star. And you know what? If you weren't there, you missed the bus on that, because you're never going to find a cheaper autograph for Justin Steele here on out. That's done.
It's the event. The event was awesome, and the best part of it is we raised $7,200 for Rod's Heroes. Actually, Rod's Heroes is throwing out the first pitch on Memorial Day, so they're going to come down. They want to, we gave $7,200 for them, and I'll tell you what, they were so happy about that. They called me up and they thanked me numerous times, and I was like, "Don't thank me, thanks Justin and his fiance Libby, who set the who picked that charity, which is an unbelievable charity, and we're actually we're going to work with them going forward on a few things, so it's awesome."
Well, and that's the thing is, I don't think people like. Once you go one time, you never want to miss another party. So this were some pics that I put up from the last party. So when you go to a Club 400 party, you get this is a professional photograph that Club 400, they get a photographer out there. This is like high def, high res that you get. This is a picture of Justin and I for the podcast listeners. And hopefully you're watching this on 670, the Score YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe. Here's a picture of Justin autographing. So you're going to get autographs when you go to a Club 400 event. You get a Q&A, and it was me doing the Q&A with Justin, which was a lot of fun and just such a good interview. He was a lot of fun to have and talk to. And then the other thing people don't get is that there's a lot of awesome auction items. This is a picture of Matt Kammerer, and Matt does these amazing map drawings of the players, these pencil drawings that look incredible. And this is one he did of Justin Steele. So it's, in case for the podcast listeners, it's a map of Chicago with the silhouette of the city with Justin Steele getting ready to fire a strike. And then, Stu, the best part of Club 400 is the friends. And like, this is one of those things where you just bump into people all the time. In this picture, I got my Thai guy and Miguel Esparza, and you got Danny Rocket and Rachel. I mean, just a good crew of people that come to Club 400 and have fun. So, I mean, you should just always want to go to a Club 400 party. I don't care who's showing up.
I'll tell you what, we just released our What is Club 400 video. And one of the questions they asked me, what's the best thing about Club 400? And, obviously one of the greatest things about Club 400 is, we give away a lot of money and we help out a lot of people. But for me personally, it's been all the friends that I've made, like yourself, Crawly. I mean, we wouldn't have been friends without Club 400. And just the whole entire community that we've formed. And, we have 60 to 70, 80 people that try to make it to every single event. And there's nothing better than like going on Facebook or some social media and seeing people that are hanging out that met at Club 400. I'm really happy to forge those relationships and bring Cub fans together. And that's what we're all about. We're all about Cub fans helping Cub fans. So it's been an unbelievable trip, a ride, if you want, whatever you want to call it, but it's really rewarding. And I feel like the luckiest guy in the world that, for some reason, this whole thing found me, because like I always said that I never planned on doing this kind of stuff. I never planned on raising money or even starting a charity. Everything evolved to it. And I think that's the beautiful thing about it.
Yeah, man. I don't care if you had Augie Ojeda. I don't care who you had. I'd be out there regardless. But, you're also doing another program called Honoring Heather's Heroes. And it's a great program where you get a day and you give the red carpet treatment for a Cub fan that's down on their luck maybe, or just kind of going through a tough time. And you get them a limo and you get them awesome seats and you get them field access. And the first one's coming up pretty soon, yeah?
Yeah, you know what? I actually made the call earlier today, and I'll tell you what, I wish that everybody could be in the room, when I call the winners up. And they're not winners, they're just people that we chose. And, making those calls, just like giving the checks out, is a beautiful thing. We're going to announce that very soon, who the family is. And it was actually, I can honestly say, we went through all the submissions, and we're not done. I mean, actually, what's going to happen is I told those guys to pick a game, and depending on what month that game lands in, we might even do someone else before. Depending if they want to do something in August, well, we want to do something in July. We plan on doing like 3 or 4 of them. But the greatest thing about it today was when I called them, I called the father up. I said, he goes, Stu, I don't think we can do this. It's just going to be too difficult. And I said, well, that's where you're wrong, because I've done it before, and we're going to do it again, and we're going to do it again, and we're doing it again. it's people who think because of maybe limitations with wheelchairs and so forth and so on that don't think they could get to Wrigley Field. I want to give this whole entire family, and I should say not I, but we as a group, Club 400 wants to give this family a special memory and a day where once they hop in that vehicle, the rest of the day they're going to have fun and like I said, make a great memory with each other. We'll get them on the field, get them great seats, and take care of them Club 400 style.
And I've learned very early in our friendship that when you tell Stewart you can't do something, when you tell Stewart McVicar he can't do something, don't tell him that, because he'll prove to you that you can get it done. I swear to God. Yeah. So now, people don't realize that there's a lot of different kinds of Club 400 parties. The Justin Steele party was really cool. It was a more intimate party, right? It was a smaller party, but good people, and Justin's family was out there, and it was just kind of a very family vibe. But we also have bigger parties at Club 400, and that's why I have you on, because everybody knows there's nothing better than the Chicagoland area in the summer. And so, when the summer's happening and middle of Cubs baseball, it's a lot of fun. And this is going to be a big party coming on, and that's why I wanted to have you on, because this one is the granddaddy of them all.
This is the big one this year. This is a relationship I made. Brian Weymouth from Arizona. I've had a relationship actually goes before COVID, and he's a great guy. He works with Special Olympics, and we talked about it, and it finally made sense to do it this year. Thankfully, they got our guest, and this party is gonna have. We're gonna sell 250 tickets. And it's definitely a night that won't suck, man. So I will tell you that. You guys, I would love for you guys to come out. We're obviously, Joe Madden is coming to Club 400 Thursday, August 17th from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, an event benefiting Special Olympics. And I couldn't be more happier. And, my goal for this party, the most money we ever raised out of my house in one night for money actually given to charity, was for the Anthony Rizzo Foundation of $66,000. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell everybody out there, we will break that record in August. And it couldn't be for a better cause than for Special Olympics.
Well, let's talk about that, okay? Because first off, just beyond Club 400, I go to a lot of autograph signings, and I can tell you that Joe Madden is absolutely, when he signs for you, he looks at you, he smiles, he says he's just a really nice guy, and so that's exciting. If you've ever been to Cubs convention, or you remember the press conferences he had, Joe Madden is an engaging guy. I love going to Club 400, but some guys are just better at spinning the yarn, and those are the ones that are really fun. If you got a guy that can just make you laugh, make you think, make you cry, all in the same time, man, Joe Madden is that kind of guy. I think it's just going to be great, and it's not going to be me doing the Q&A. Oh no, this is much bigger. Who is doing the Q&A?
Well, we'll start out. Let's just go down the roadmap real quick. We got a lot of guests at this party. Having Joe Madden is not enough for the Club 400 party. We got to make it a little bit better. So our good friend Joe Kilgallen will be he'll be the host with the most. He'll be the MC that night. And, Joe, I met Joe through Club 400, and Joe is definitely a part of the Club 400 family. Looking forward definitely for Joe to make everybody happy and kind of make the night run smoothly. So we're really proud to have Joe Kilgallen as our host. And what do? We always sing the national anthem at Club 400 before all our events, and we have the great John Vincent coming out. I'm really happy about that. He's gonna launch off the evening. Our band, we always have live music, because everybody asks me, what's the Club 400 mean? The club means I love music. I love music and baseball. Theo Epstein's charity, a foundation to be named later. They're about baseball and music. We're the same way. So we brought in a really great band called Pete's Diary. And Jimmy from Modern Day Romeos, they recommended that I would hire these guys. And just like the Special Olympics, Pete's Diary has an amazing story behind them. Their guitarist, who's an amazing guitarist, his name is Pete Dankelson. He was born without an ear, actually, and he's a person who's battled and overcame obstacles. And the band is kicking butt in the Midwestern area right now, and they're like one of the hottest bands out there. They're young and they're a lot of fun. They play classic rock. I thought classic rock mixed well with Joe Madden, and I also thought because not only are they a band, but Pete actually goes out and does public speaking about overcoming disabilities and obstacles in life. And he's just a remarkable person in general. And then you combine the fact that they can rock like they do. I'm really, really proud. I told the Special Olympics people yesterday when I was on the phone with them, one of my great additions to this party was having this band, because they're what this event is all about. And so we got them playing. Club 400 is going to have our first ever pig roast, and I can't tell you how excited about that. The company's name is Smokin' Billy T and Bubba 2. They're actually going to cook a pig on site. They're going to have some pork butts, baked beans, mac and cheese, cornbread, garden salad, and coleslaw, all the works. So we're going first class on the food. They actually did the Ray Burris 150 years of baseball party, and they did a great job. So really excited to have them on for food. And, of course, as you know, Crawly, we'll have Crystal Lake Brewing Club 400 Lager throughout the evening at our various bars outside. We also bringing in some other Cubs, man. We're not done yet. I thought my whole process of thinking on this was, obviously 2016 means the world to us Cub fans, and there was nothing better than that whole entire season and Joe Madden taking us to the next level. But I fell in love with the 1984 Cubs, and I thought that that team kind of changed Wrigley Field forever. As far as the love, Wrigley Field just changed after that. It just seemed like, the 69 Cubs, don't get me wrong, were unbelievable. I wasn't around. I was born in 73, but the 84 Cubs was my team, and that was the team that got me into baseball. So we're bringing out Gold Glove center fielder Bobby Dernier and Jody Davis. They will be also doing a Q&A on the stage that night earlier. And then I decided, we got to do something special. We got to bring on someone to do a Q&A that's worked with Joe in the past. Someone that's been to Club 400 before, and someone who I truly, truly love as a person. And he's just a great guy. Ron Coomer will be doing the Q&A with Joe Madden that night, and I think that's just the perfect mix. That's the kind of guy I wanted to interview Joe. And, obviously he worked with him before all the games in 2016 on the Manager Show on the radio. So we're really happy to have him, and he jumped on right away. He's definitely a Special Olympics guy, so we're really happy to have him out also. So it's awesome.
Wow. And for everybody that goes, again, you just said 2 Q&As, not 1, 2 Q&As. All you can eat, and from a pig roast. And I was there at the Burris party, and oh my God, that brisket was out of this world. And not only that, you got a band. What else can fans expect when they go to this party?
Well, first of all, the thing about it is, guys, like Crawly just mentioned, you're going to get all that stuff, but you're going to get not just one, but 2 Joe Madden autographs, right? Part of the ticket includes Joe Madden's new book that came out. I think it came out last year. There it is, the Book of Joe. You're going to get a signed copy of that book. And I actually went to the biggest Cub fan of all, Crawly, and I said, Crawly, what can we do special? Because no offense, I love Joe, but he's been here and he's done book signings. I wanted to do something a little bit more special for the Cub fans. And I went to Crawly. I said, Crawly, what should we do? What's a good idea for a cool item? And by the way, this is our first ever Club 400 numbered exclusive item, and it was all because of you, Crawly. Crawly, since you came up with the idea, I'm going to let you tell them what they get.
This right here is a replica Game 7 scorecard of the World Series. Everybody, every moment, Fowler and Almora and Schwarber and Rizzo, Bryant, Russell, everybody's on it. Contreras. This is the one that ended the curse, buried the GOAT. It is going to be signed by Joe Madden, and it is going to look gorgeous. And here's the thing, guys. This is limited edition. This is going to be the only one of these out here. So for those of you looking for a collector's item or something for the Cubs, not like Stu and myself or whoever, this is going to be something that no one else can get. You can't get anywhere, just at this event.
Exactly. And and also you're going to get a picture with Joe Madden. So you're going to get 2 autographed items. You're going to get a picture with Joe Madden. You're going to get the Q&As, 2 Q&As. Trust me, Bob Deere and Jody Davis will take pictures with you and sign autographs. I was thinking, what would be really cool, Crawly? It would be, what I would do personally is I would get that picture with Joe Madden and I would frame it with the scorecard. That's what I would do. And the great thing about it is, guys, thankfully, Crawly, and I have to give you credit again, Crawly. Got the digital file from the Chicago Cubs, so we are printing it, and we're gonna do it right. We're not gonna cheapen this thing. We're going to make it really nice. It's going to be standard lineup card size, and it's going to be full color, and it's going to be a nice paper, not even paper. It's more like a thin cardboard. And so it's going to be a really nice item that no one else has. And you know what? It was a really good idea, Crawly, that you came up with. We were thinking about doing a couple other things, but this made a lot of sense too. And, you know, obviously our goal is to raise as much money as we can with Special Olympics. So, but I love it. I love the idea. And I think, you know, Special Olympics love the idea. And I guarantee you, I think Joe will love the idea too.
So just to let people know, I've been to signings where Joe Madden's been, and it's like, whether you talk about Joe Madden or even if you talk about Rizzo or Brian or any of those guys, you're talking like $100, $150 one autograph. Okay. This money is going to Special Olympics.
And let me tell you real quick, Crawly, the goal is that when you spend, the tickets are $200, by the way, if you spend that $200, right, $200 goes direct. That money all goes to Special Olympics, because we are looking for sponsors, by the way. Is there anybody that wants to sponsor this event? Please contact me through any of our social media. And we're hoping that the sponsors, the money we get from the sponsors, covers the rental equipment, the food, the liquor, all that other stuff, so that all your money goes to Special Olympics. So you can feel good about it. And, you know, remember, Club 400 is a 501c3 charity, so you can write that ticket off on your taxes. You can come out here, have a good time, and know the money is going to go to the right place.
And I've seen it, and I've witnessed all that so much of what you've done, Stu, to help people. And like I said, this is one that I guarantee you're not going to want to miss. I mean, where can you go that you're going to give the money to Special Olympics? You're going to get a autographed copy of Joe Madden's book, The Book of Joe, which is great. Tom Verducci, brilliant writer. Joe's stories are great. Game 7 scorecard, numbered. Okay. You get 2 Q&As, Bobby D and Jody Davis. You're going to have Ron Coomer interviewing Joe Madden. You're going to get a high-res photo with Joe Madden. You're going to get food at a pig roast. You're going to get all you can drink. This is going to be a deal of a lifetime. And you know what it's all about? Cub fans helping Cub fans. Stewart, why don't you tell everybody, if they want tickets, how would they go about finding Club 400?
The easiest way to buy tickets is our website, www.club400cubs.com. They will go on sale next Friday. What is the date next Friday, Crawly? Do you know? 24th, 25th? Next Friday. So they'll be. We also sell tables for $2,500. That's 10 people at a table if you're interested in getting a table. But yeah, tickets will be $200. www.club400cubs.com. You can buy them right off the website. And I'll tell you one thing, Crawly. Thanks a lot for everything you just said. But the one thing that I've always been a big fan of is a win-win situation. So, like, when I say win-win situation, you're going to come to this party, you're going to have a great time, you're going to get your money's worth, and the money goes to the Special Olympics. So that I'm always happy to do, like, the fans win and the charity wins. And, like, I've always tried to make sure that the fans win at the end, and so does the charity. But I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of every party that we ever have. Just like you said, the Justin Steele party. I mean, that party was unbelievable. I mean, there's 80 people in the basement with Justin Steele hanging out. It was, and Crawly, I mean, the Q&A was unbelievable. Crawly took that over. But like I said, I'm a big fan of the fans winning when they come to my house. And, you know, that's the beautiful thing is after the event's over, I look at all the pictures and I just see nothing but smiles. And I said, you know what? I can't tell you like how many people have come up to me, Crawly, and said, "Oh, Stu, that event was the greatest event I ever went to," or this and that. And, you know, I don't even think about it like that sometimes, but I get reminded when I look at all the pictures.
And I will tell you right now, you can follow Stewart on Twitter and Facebook. So if you're looking to get tickets, Facebook's another great place. Join the Club 400 public page. And Stewart McVicar and his good sidekick, Sir William, have their own Club 400 podcast that's being released tomorrow with an early code. So make sure you follow and subscribe to the Club 400 podcast. Guys, this is going to be where every Cub fan wants to be this summer. Joe Madden, Try Not to Suck party to benefit Special Olympics. Stewart McVicar, thank you so much for jumping on. I appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you, Crawly. Always appreciate, and I'll see you at Wrigley soon, my friend.
All right, Crawly, I'm down for 2 for the parties that Mr. McVicar just talked about. This is segment 3. It's season 2. It's episode 37. Houston, the Cubs have a problem. Crawly, let's get into some roster moves. Let's preview what's going to happen next, which is a series against the Phillies, and let's take a look at some standings. But before that, let's get on to some roster moves and some injury updates.
Yep, and we said that Boxberger had to go down, and sure enough, that's what happened. He was placed on the 15-day IL with forearm soreness. Apparently, he was battling a groin issue as well that kind of led to the forearm soreness. You know, you overcompensate sometimes. And so he's had a 12.27 ERA over his past 5 games, 4 strikeouts, 3 walks, 5 runs around, and 3 2/3 inning. Did he not tell anyone? Did he try to pitch through it? I don't know. But Jeremiah Estrada was called up from Iowa to take his place. Now, technically, Estrada wasn't able to be called up, but because it was an injury, then it is allowed, because normally you have to wait a certain number of days. You can't just kind of call him down and then back up and down and back up. So because of the 15-day, because of the 15-day IL, Estrada is back up. But I knew that something was off with Boxberger. He's a better pitcher than what he's shown, and I hope that when he is healed, he can take that 8th inning role, and then everybody gets in their proper role with Leiter maybe in the 6th, and again, I keep saying it, Al's the lie in the knife.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed, Crawly, that Boxberger can get back to what the Cubs thought they were investing in when they took him in the offseason. Another move, our guy Hayden Wesneski was optioned to Iowa. Cubs don't need a 5th starter until May the 27th. Nick Burdi up, a Rule 5 draft pick, and a really good story.
Yeah, 30-year-old righty with a wicked fastball slider combo. Local boy done good, but injuries have hurt his career. To make room for Nick Burdi on the 40-man roster, the Cubs transfer righty Adrian Sampson. You remember him? To the 60-day IL. So, again, Dustin, I'm excited. These are the names. If you remember at the beginning of the season that I gave you, Jeremiah Estrada, Cam Sanders, Nick Burdi, those 3 names. I just want them to get a chance. I want to see what they can do, and not in
they're here, let's use them,
time.
right? If they're here, let's use them. I want to see them before we see Merriweather again. I'll tell you that.
I'm on board with you. I'm on board.
He's another guy you could put on my list of 3 that's actually up to 5 now.
Kyle Hendricks joined the team in Houston to throw his bullpen session with Tommy Hotovy. Plan is he makes his next start, I believe, this Sunday at AAA Iowa.
But let's test your Cubs fandom, Crawly. You know where he's making that start?
Where's he making that start? I'm not sure.
Indianapolis.
Oh, nice.
Maybe Crawly's going to point the car south and head over southeast and head over to Indy.
Yeah, see what Kyle Hendricks is doing. That might be a good idea. But, hopefully he comes back, and I would love it if I lucked out, because I'm going to the game Tuesday night against the Mets. Okay. If he would be starting, I'd be so happy to catch that.
Bobblehead night. Is that a bobblehead night? I saw the Cubs have a bobblehead night coming. They've got a fanny pack coming.
Grateful Dead Dead night, and they're going to have 5 different Clark bobbleheads, like the colored bears, dancing bears. So I'm super.
And you're not
excited.
already sleeping outside? I can't believe it.
Oh no, these are special event tickets, Dustin. You do not have to sleep outside. You have to buy a special separate ticket, and then it waits for you at a table.
Oh, jeez Louise.
Oh, don't worry, I got this covered.
Nobody ever doubted that.
I got all my bases covered. Don't worry, there'll be bobbleheads.
All right, Crawly. How about we got to look at the standings, Crawly, or are we going to get right into Phillies?
We can take a look at the standings right now here. With the Cubs, you're looking at the NL Central. Things are looking bleak. They are now tied with Cincinnati for 3rd place at 19 and 24, 5 games under 500, which is a season high, along with a 5-game losing streak, also a season high. And again, St. Louis slowly coming back from the dead. They're 8-2 in their last 10.
That's the problem, Crawly. They're lurking. They're 8-2 in their last 10. You knew they weren't going to play as bad as they started, but now you're hoping that they're not playing at an 8-2 clip every 10 games.
You're looking right now. They are a game and a half behind the Cubs. So Pittsburgh in 2nd place, still 3-7 in their last 10.
That won't last.
Milwaukee kind of just treading water, 6-4, 24-19. They're in 1st place. So
Cubs could easily be 24-19 had they had Christopher Morel up here on day 1.
There's a lot of things you look at, and what about the proper bullpen guys and stuff like that? So I mean,
or a better bullpen. I think Crawly. Let's do this really quick before we get into the Phillies. And I know we're getting tight on time. But let's do this really quick. We all can agree. You and I can agree. Everybody downloading, subscribing, listening to this podcast can agree. The bullpen is a problem. I think going in, the bullpen wasn't necessarily the best thing on the Cubs. And I think I could have said, what are you most concerned about? I would have said the bullpen. Tommy Hotovy said, we don't have a guy that is the ninth inning guy, and we're hoping that somebody wants to grab that role and earn that role. But since the bullpen is the biggest issue right now in the Achilles heel, especially after last night on Wednesday, do you blame the bullpen? Do you blame David Ross? Or do you blame the general manager and the president?
No,
I
don't.
How do you rank those guys? How do you rank it?
I would say I would put David Ross at number 1, the bullpen at number 2, and the president, Jed and Carter, at number 3. Here's the thing. Jed has put together good bullpens out of nothing the last 3 or 4 seasons. Nobody was talking about Andrew Chafin or Scott F. Ross or David Ross. No one was doing anything, and the Cubs turned those guys around, flipped them for great prospects. What I want to know is, you say, Tommy Hotovy's talking about guys earning the job. What do you have to do to get be allowed to pitch that night?
So more guys need an opportunity is what you're saying.
Give a guy an opportunity. Again, I don't understand what the big issue is with Alzolay. I know he doesn't pitch well against lefties, but you're looking at those numbers when he was a starter. Okay, if he only has to go 1 inning, it may be a moot point, And I don't know why you sit there and you call guys up and you just sit there and be like, okay, here's your mop-up duty. Good luck. Why not see if somebody has something that you're missing instead of trotting out the same how many times I said Boxberger's not a ninth inning guy. Fulmer's struggling. How many times are you going to do that? How many times are you going to do Merriweather? Why can't you give someone else a shot? That's what I don't get.
Yeah, it's very confusing. Very confusing.
Right. And so the Cubs now travel to Philly, where last year they went 87-75. They had a hot end of the season, took them all the way to the World Series, which they lost to the Astros. So I put up that tweet from Full Count Tommy earlier, that around the same point last year, there's 1 game difference between the Cubs right now and Philadelphia. So
that was a great tweet, by the way. Thank you for sharing that with me and our podcast listeners.
Yeah, it's just, what is it? It's always darkest before dawn. I just don't want people to freak out. They weren't as good as we thought they were in April, and they're not as bad as we think they are in May. We don't know what we really have here, but we still have plenty of games to be played, and we're not 20 games out of the division or something. It's not the end of the world. Key additions by the Phillies. There's always going to be that big free agent shortstop class, and they got Trey Turner. He hasn't looked that great just yet, but give him some time. They got Tyjon Walker, Matt Strom, former Cub closer Craig Kimbrell. Everyone remembers Josh Harrison with his Pirate days, and Gregory Soto. Key losses: Scott Eflin, the pitcher; Gene Segura, second baseman; Noah Syndergaard. I don't know if that was that big of a loss. Kyle Gibson, David Robertson, who the Cubs traded to the Phillies; Nick Matten, and Matt Vierling. So, like I said, the Cubs at 19-24 are on a 5-game losing streak, but the Phillies are 20-23 right now. They're 4th in the NL East. They're on a 4-game losing streak.
They just got swept by the Giants, Crawly, so they had a nice long ride back to Philadelphia themselves, right?
Right. So they're 5-5 in their last 10. So, hey, you know what? Let's see what happens, and hopefully the Cubs can get it going.
So Friday night, Game 1, listen to it on the Score. Zach's pregame 5:30. Marcus Stroman's going to throw.
Yeah, one more thing I do want to say, because you just mentioned 670, Pat and Ron, how nice it was for the Houston Astros. They had a nice plaque for Pat Hughes in the press box, congratulating him for the Hall of Fame. So I thought that was a real class act by the Houston Astro organization. It is
Every
going
once
to
in
be
a while they'll figure it out to do something the right way.
Marcus Stroman, 2-4, 3.24 ERA, 47 Ks versus Ranger Suarez. He is 0-0 with a 6.75 ERA. So let me just kind of explain what's going on. Obviously, we know that Stroh has been great. That start against Minnesota was awful. 2.2 innings, 7 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 walks. But the guy was pitching like an all-star, so let's just kind of hope that was just a little hiccup. When Ranger Suarez, he had injury issues, so he started the season on the IL with a left elbow strain. So he just made his first start the other day, that 5-13 against Colorado. He went 4 innings pitched, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 K. So I don't know if he's on any kind of a pitch count, but it would be good for the Cubs to try. And when we talk about Mastrobuoni, that's, I guess, one of the things that I've kind of liked is I think he's had a real patient approach, and I like his at-bats that I've seen so far. I'm not saying he's going to be an everyday starter, just something that I noticed. Against Stroman, taking a look, Nick Castellanos, 23 at bats. He has a 130 average. Josh Harrison, 12 at bats, 333 average. JT Realmuto, obviously a very good player. 20 at bats, 350 against Stroh. And our old friend Kyle Schwarber, 12 at bats against Stroh, and he has a 250 ERA. Against Suarez, the Cubs don't have a lot. The most is Cody Bellinger, 7 at bats, 143 average. So maybe he takes the day off, one more day for that knee. I will say that Eric Hosmer has 5 at bats and hits 400. So maybe
he's definitely in the lineup, Crawly. You just spoke it into existence. $5 says he's in the lineup as the DH.
Well, he's only had 5 at bats, but Wisdom's had 5 at bats, also hits 400. And then Seiya Suzuki has 3 at bats and hits 667. So maybe Seiya's hot streak kind of keeps going, right?
Let's hope. Keep speaking it into existence, Crawly.
I'm trying. The next game is one that I don't know. We keep saying, is this going to be the next big game? This is a big one for Jameson Taillon, but it feels like it is. Jameson Taillon, 0-2, 6.66 ERA, the number of the beast right there. Aaron Nola with 3-3 with a 4.53 ERA. They are both struggling, to say the least, with Taillon. Just hasn't ever gotten started. He got injured and then hasn't looked good since he's come back. When his game in Washington, he went 3 innings pitched. He gave up 3 earned runs. Against St. Louis, 2.2 innings pitched, 4 earned runs. And against Houston, 4.2 innings, 4 earned runs. This is part of the problem right now, where the Cubs bullpen is absolutely getting killed, is because of starts by Taillon. And then if Hayden didn't go far, or God forbid what happened recently with both Stroman and at least Steele went far, but it just kills the bullpen.
Yeah, absolutely killers. The starting pitching's got to go farther in these games. There's not a question about that at all. And it really, Jameson Taillon owes him something in this one.
Right, and Nola has been going deep. He just has been giving up runs. And 5-3 against the Dodgers, 6.1. He gave up 7 hits and 4 runs. Against Toronto on 5-9, 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs. And then at Colorado, which is always a funky place to play, he went 7 innings. He gave up 6 hits and 4 runs. So you're looking at that and you're kind of saying, I don't know what to make of that.
Bet the over. You know what to do, Crawly? Bet the over Saturday.
I just get nervous. Nola's a good pitcher. You just know that. And I just hope that Taillon, sometimes guys struggle when they start with the Cubs pitchers. Remember Stroman struggled last year. I remember John Lester struggling. Guys just come over sometimes and have some issues. Bryce Harper, who came back in record time with that Tommy John surgery, 9 at bats, hits 333 off of Taillon. Schwarber, 15 at bats, 200. And Trey Turner, 12 at bats, only hits 167. Cubs versus Nola. Cody Bellinger might as well take the weekend off. 16 at bats, he hits 125. Yan Gomes, 19 at bats, 316. And then 55 at bats for Dansby Swanson, and only hits 218 against Aaron Nola. That's that 55. Obviously the Phillies played the Braves a ton, but that is just not a good average for Dansby Swanson against Aaron Nola.
No, and he's not exactly tearing the cover off the ball as of late either.
You know what people say about him? He's one of the streakiest players that people have ever seen, and we've seen him go crazy, and we've seen him really struggle.
Yeah.
Game 3, Justin Steele. Hopefully that flu bug is out of the system. We were talking about how well he was pitching, and you could just tell that something was a little bit off, and he still was able to at least give the Cubs depth and keep them in that game, which impressed me a lot. I think that says a lot about who Justin Steele is as a pitcher.
Intestinal fortitude through the roof.
Absolutely. 6 innings, 5 hits. But again, I think 4 of those were in the 1 inning, and 5 earned runs. And so before that, 6 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs against the Cardinals. And before that, 7 innings pitched, 6 hits, 1 run against Miami. So Philadelphia is going to go with legendary pitcher TBD. So we don't know anything about that. And when we look at
what's his ERA, Crawly?
I'm trying to find the numbers on that guy, but I will tell you Castellanos has some numbers against Justin Steele. 11 at bats, 364 average. No one else has really seen him too much, so not much to talk about there. But It was just so frustrating losing that game the other night, Dustin, is that I was hoping in my mind you had a 9-game road trip. If the Cubs would have come back 4-5, I would have been happy. And I just felt like, they that blown game, they could have been right now 2-4, and 4-5 still would have been a possibility. Now it's going to be really, really hard to pull that off.
All right, Crawly, really quick. Who's hot? Who's not? Let's get some predictions going.
Yeah, who is hot? I would say Mr. Seiya Suzuki is red hot right now.
No longer smoldering. He's hot.
8 hits in his last 21 at bats, 4 home runs, and 7 RBIs. How about a 381 average, a 462 OBP, and a 1.048 slugging? That is phenomenal. Christopher Morel is right there with him. He has 7 hits in his last 21 at bats. 9 hits in his last 27 at bats. He has 4 home runs and 7 RBIs as well. And the main issue with Morel, though, and we got to talk about this, Dustin, because everyone was yelling, bring Morel up, bring Morel up. 12 strikeouts to 1 walk. I mean,
it's all or nothing. It's all or nothing with him. Absolutely.
That's why I'm not as angry as some people about him starting in Iowa. He's made some adjustments to his swing, but again, that's really tough up here in the big leagues.
So when Nico comes back, where's Morel batting?
I start to take like I said, I get rid of Hosmer and I take a look at somehow rotating Wisdom, Morel, Wisdom, Mancini, and looking at Mervis at first base and DH and third, and start kind of rotating around there somehow, some way. That's where I think the best rotation is going to come when that happens.
Okay.
But we'll see what happens. As far as not, we mentioned him before, Dansby Swanson, 4 hits in his last 25 at bats, a double, a triple, 1 RBI for a 160, 222, 280 slash line. Not the greatest.
No, not the greatest. All right, Phillies, what's going on with them?
JT Realmuto, I mean, no doubt the best catcher in baseball. 17 at bats. He's got 8 hits. He has 4 doubles and 2 RBIs. He's 471, 526, 706. I mean, the guy is just so impressive that not only is he good at the plate, he's good behind the plate as well. And then taking a look at Bryce Harper, he's just come back from that Tommy John, like I mentioned, 7 for his last 23. He has 2 doubles and 1 home run and 4 RBIs. He's slashing 304, 365, 22. The not, how about our old friend Kyle Schwarber? Again, when you talk about all for nothing, he has 2 hits in his last 20 at bats, but they've both been home runs with 3 RBIs. He's averaging 100, 308, slugging 400. But and Trey Turner's getting a little bit better, but he's 269 average, so not a huge that's in the last 7 games, but we'll see what happens with him.
All right, Crawly, prediction time. You want me to go or you want to go first?
Why don't you go ahead?
All right, so assuming that Nico Horner is back at the top of the lineup and assuming that Cody Bellinger plays in 2 out of the 3 games, I'm going to say that our Cubs win 2 out of 3. If those things don't happen, then I'm going to say 1 out of 3. And please don't get swept.
I don't think it's going to be a sweep. I like the way that the rotation lines up here. I like the Stroman versus Suarez. As long as they can have good, patient at bats and drive his pitch count up. I like Justin Steele starting for TBD. So I'm going to go Cubs taking 2 of 3. I'm feeling lucky. I think the next time we come, it's going to be all sunshine.
All right. I hope you have a great weekend, Crawly. We'll be reporting back. We'll give you an update on what's happening with Kyle Hendricks as well. He's going to throw down in Indianapolis on Sunday. That's a wrap. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Follow all the socials, Fly the W on Facebook, Instagram. You can email us, flythew670gmail.com. And you can watch us, YouTube, by subscribing to the 670 The Score YouTube channel. Crawly, happy weekend, and we'll talk Sunday or Monday.
And don't worry, Cub cans, keep the faith. Go Cubs! Hey guys, it's Crawly. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you want to see more of our videos, be sure to check out our playlist and let us know what you think in the comments below. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date with our latest episodes. Links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Go Cubs!